have had very, very strong talks. We'll see where they lead. We have major points of agreement. I would say almost all points of agreement. Perhaps that hasn't been conveyed. The communication, as you know, has been blown to pieces. They're unable to talk to each other. But we've had very strong talks. Mr. Witkoff and Mr. Kushner had them. They went, I would say, perfectly. I would say that if they carry through with that, it'll end that problem, that conflict, and I think it'll end it very, very substantially. We have very much in mind our partners in the Middle East. We've had great relationships with a lot of them, as you know. A lot of them were surprisingly hit, and I was surprised to see it, and so was everyone else, but we have, they're very much in mind in the discussions. So the discussions took place yesterday. They went into yesterday evening. They want very much to make a deal. We'd like to make a deal too. We're going to get together today by probably phone because it's very hard to find a country. It's very hard for them to get out, I guess. But we'll at some point very, very soon meet. We're doing a 5-day period. We'll see how that goes. And if it goes well, we're going to end up with settling this. Otherwise, we just keep bombing our little hearts out.
Who are you speaking with in Iran?
A top person. Don't forget, we've wiped out the leadership phase 1, phase 2, and largely phase 3. But we're dealing with a man who I believe is the most respected and the leader. It's a little tough. They've wiped out everybody.
Is that the Supreme Leader?
No, not the Supreme Leader. We don't. Well, nobody heard of the second Supreme Leader.
Saturday, July 18th, 2026. 2 American service members have been killed, and 1 is missing in action after Iranian strikes hit a U.S. military position in Jordan. These are the first American military deaths in the Iran war since March. The Pentagon has not yet released the names of the fallen, pending notification of their families. The attack marks a dramatic escalation in the conflict.
Criminals and others, but for purposes of the airport, I've requested that they take off the mask. I don't like it for the airport, and I believe they are willing to do that.
Why wear masks not at the airport, but they need to do it when they're out in the street?
Because the people coming into the airport, typically speaking, aren't murderers, killers, drug dealers, etc. There may be a few of them, but there aren't many. They're people that want to come into the country, or that people want to leave the country, go into maybe their home country. So I didn't think it was an appropriate look for an airport. I think it's a very appropriate look when they're out on the street trying to find one of the 11,888 murderers that Sleepy Joe Biden led into our country.
Last year you gave a $10,000 bonus. Sorry. Last year you gave a $10,000 bonus to TSA workers who kept showing up to work during the shutdown. Will you do that again?
Well, it could happen. It's amazing. They're people that are really, really loyal and great, and it's not easy for them. And this is all caused by the Democrats. Just so you know, all this money was approved. Everything was approved. This is done. The Democrats went in, and they want to have radical left lunatics come into our country. They want to have drug dealers. They want to have murderers come into our country. They want to have open borders, and we're not letting it happen. That's what this is all about. They don't want voter ID. They don't want proof of citizenship. They don't want mail-in ballots. They're so corrupt. What they want, the only thing they want is mail-in ballots. So we also added, as you know, into the Save America Act. And it's called Save America. It's not the Save Act. But we added no transgender mutilization of our children and no men in women's sports. I don't think he's going to be a newsman.
If he talks so well and he reaches ceasefire just with Iran, do you believe Israel would abide by that agreement?
I think Israel will be very happy with what we have. We just spoke to Israel a little while ago. I think they'll be very happy. This will be peace for Israel, long-term peace.
The U.S. military completed its 8th consecutive night of strikes on Iran, hitting surveillance sites, underground weapons storage facilities, and maritime capabilities. In a significant escalation, American strikes hit the Bonji desalination plant in Jask, Hormozgan province, cutting water supplies to 20 villages and affecting approximately 10,000 people. The targets of the latest strikes signal a strategic shift, moving further inland from the Strait of Hormuz.
The Marines across California, given that it'll take them weeks to arrive, it's the intention to police the strait or take off.
What are you doing?
Well, it's been reported that there are Marines that left California, left San Diego last week. Why are they headed there now?
Well, let me ask you this. If you were in my position and I asked you that question, do you really believe I'd give you that? It's a crazy question. We don't talk about strategy. Yeah? Yeah, let in by Biden. It's devastating. These people were let in by Biden. We're getting them out. We're getting them out fast. That's why ICE is so important. They're doing such a good job. This animal, I saw the whole thing last night. They gave me a briefing. Came in through Joe Biden with his open door policy. And his border czar, Kamala, who never saw the border, never made one phone call. All the ICE people, you see, they all know me. Everyone knows me. They like me. I speak to them all the time. Didn't make one phone call during 4 years. She was the border czar to anybody on the border. Never went there. This person came in through the open door policy of Joe Biden. And we're taking them out by the tens of thousands. We're doing a great job, but it's a shame. They've hurt our country. Just remember this. Joe Biden and that gang of radical left lunatics, some very smart, but radical left and bad ideology, sick people. These people have hurt our country very badly.
Are we directly talking with Iran?
How is that different from what Russia has been doing in Ukraine by hitting Ukrainian power?
Well, I think it's a lot different. And if you look at the nuclear weapons that they wanted to have, that they wanted to possess, a lot of things are different. I'm not a fan of what Russia's doing either, just so you understand, all right? But it's a lot different. You're talking about a country that has been evil for 47 years. They've been horrible. Yeah.
Iran launched retaliatory attacks against Kuwait's oil infrastructure. The Kuwait Petroleum Corporation reported that one of its vital oil sector sites was subjected to, quote, repeated brutal Iranian attacks, resulting in severe material losses and injuries. Kuwait's military said it intercepted ballistic missiles and drones in its airspace. The conflict has now caused direct damage to Gulf oil production for the first time. The Trump administration announced it will withhold federal funding from states that refuse to participate in new federal election security programs. This follows President Trump's primetime speech, in which he claimed to declassify documents showing election vulnerabilities. Meanwhile, Missouri's Secretary of State reported that more than 280,000 people have been removed from the state's voter rolls.
Now, I hear they're looking at him for leaking. That's possible. But just so you understand, just to put it to rest, he lost twice badly. He also lost his wife. He's remarried since. He lost his wife. I felt badly for him. So I told my people, reach out to him, give him a job at the White House. This is the thanks I get. Any other questions?
Federal crime and predator was not an imminent threat. That's what the intelligence said.
I think it was an imminent threat. I think that Iran, if we didn't bomb them with the B-2 bombers, now that set them back. But if we didn't hit them with the B-2 bombers, they would have had a nuclear weapon within 2 weeks to a month. And if they had a nuclear weapon, they would have used it as soon as they got it.
Are we directly talking to Iran? Nuclear sites last summer with your strikes, then how can you argue with an imminent threat now?
Oh, we hit them so hard, we obliterated them. But that doesn't mean with the right equipment, you can't dig down and go get it. We don't want that, and we won't have that. But we obliterated that site. They still haven't been able to get it. That was a complete success. But if it wasn't, they would have had, if we didn't hit them, if we didn't use the B-2 bombers, which are unbelievable, we just ordered 22 more of them, modern version, by the way, super modern version. If we didn't hit them with the B-2 bombers, they would have had, within 2 weeks of that attack, that's why we hit them, because we knew they would have had a nuclear weapon. They would have used it on Israel and the entire Middle East.
Overall crime in Memphis is down 43% since you began this task force. Is this a template you think is
Well,
working?
what I'm doing today, really, this was supposed to be, this was a little bit before, set up a couple of weeks ago. This was before we had this situation with Iran take place last night. And by the way, they're just not communicating. When they say, I'm sure they don't mean that. When somebody says, no, I didn't know you, we were talking last night, and I'm sure they have a lack of communication, which is appropriate considering we blew up, in addition to their Navy, Air Force, every division, their radar. We also blew up all of their anti-aircraft and communication. So they have no telecommunication. So there is a lack of, I would imagine, a lack of coordination.
Immigration and Customs Enforcement has arrested on average more than 1,400 people every day in July, the highest enforcement rate of the Trump administration. The aggressive pace of arrests has drawn both praise from supporters who say it secures the border and criticism from civil liberties groups warning of due process violations.
So important, proof of citizenship, etc. Thank you very much. We're dealing really...
Whose idea was it?
Mine. That was mine.
And can I ask you,
That was like the paperclip. You know the story of the paperclip? 182 years ago, a man discovered the paperclip. It was so simple. And everybody that looked at it say, why didn't I think of that? ICE was my idea. First person I called was Tom Homan. I said, what do you think? He said, I think it's great. Then I saw today there was some masks on. I didn't think the masks were appropriate. I put out a statement and I asked them, would it be possible to take off the mask? Because they should wear a mask when they're dealing with the murderers and the thugs left and let it work.
You said there's many points of agreement with Iran right now.
Many.
What, can you give us a
Many, like 15 points. 15
that
points.
Iran has said yes to?
Well, they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. That's number one. That's number 1, 2, and 3. They will never have a nuclear
They
weapon.
said yes to that?
They've agreed to that.
Will we see arrests, illegal
Correct.
migrant arrests at airports, sir?
Arrests.
Will we see ICE arresting illegal migrants at
Yeah,
airports?
yeah. That's why the Democrats are going crazy. Because they've allowed, by what they did, and hold up, we put ICE, who are a very high level, I mean, they really are a high level group of people. And they love it because they're able to now arrest illegals as they come into the country. That's very fertile territory. But that's not why they're there. They're really there to help.
Are you clear have they agreed to no enrichment whatsoever, even for medical purposes, civilian purposes?
They have. Thank you.
And what about the Strait of Hormuz? Who's going to be in control of that?
That'll be opened very soon if this works.
How soon? And who's in control of it? Will Iran still be in control of the flow of oil?
Be jointly controlled.
By who?
Maybe me.
You want the United States to be in
Me
control?
and the Ayatollah, whoever the Ayatollah is, whoever the next Ayatollah. Look, and there'll also be a form of a very serious form of a regime change. Now, in all fairness, everybody's been killed from the regime. They're really starting off. There's automatically a regime change. But we're dealing with some people that I find to be very...
President Trump is set to attend the FIFA World Cup final on Sunday at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, where Argentina will face Spain. FIFA President Gianni Infantino said the plan is for Trump to help present the trophy to the winning team. Separately, the House passed the Common Sense Act, which would stop the Treasury from minting the penny and allow cash transactions to be rounded to the nearest 5 cents. That is your Trump brief for Saturday, July 18th. 2 American service members killed in Jordan, water cut to Iranian villages, and Kuwait oil infrastructure hit. Subscribe to the Trump Brief, USA, for the latest every day. See you tomorrow.